Welcome to Finding the Way to Success in Implementing Lean Construction in an Unfavorable Context. This study took Iranian construction industry as a sample and sought to identify and prioritize the critical success factors that could contribute to the success of lean construction implementation in its context. Studies show that construction industry differs from one country to another in terms of the environments in which they operate. When it comes to lean implementation, such differences can cause major impacts on the priorities, tools, and techniques to be adopted. Therefore, it is indispensable to identify, analyze, and evaluate the critical success factors of lean construction implementation in the unique context of each construction industry. This research selected the Iranian construction industry as a case study and sought to identify and prioritize the critical success factors that could contribute to the success of lean implementation in its unfavorable context. Iran's construction industry is dealing with several chronic problems. For instance, it has contracted due to the economic recession of the country as a consequence of the US sanctions. Besides, rules and regulations do not encourage investments within the sector, specifically from overseas. Further, systematic corruption has drastically truncated the quality of the built products. The industry also lacks adequate infrastructure. Moreover, the lack of trust amongst construction firms and unsatisfactory quality of the relationships within the industry are endemic. Such difficulties have led to a number of problems, such as less foreign investment and financing, a weak private sector, shortage of resources and materials, and weak infrastructure that all affect the performance of the construction industry. Thereby, the Iranian construction industry has the urgency to improve productivity and competitiveness, and lean construction seems to be able to provide some possible solutions. Research conducted an extensive round of literature review to identify the CSFs, critical success factors of lean construction implementation in a global context. Thus, a total of 44 critical success factors for lean construction implementation in the global context were identified from 41 journals, conference papers, theses, and dissertations. Afterwards, the factors were evaluated in the context of the Iranian construction industry through a set of 5 semi-structured, open-ended interviews to obtain the perception of the field experts about the priority and importance of the identified CSFs. The responses were transcribed and developed into coherent essays suitable for thematic analysis. The results provide an insight into the priorities of the CSFs when creating the roadmap of the lean construction implementation in the Iranian construction industry. Review indicated a total number of 44 lean construction implementation critical success factors categorized into 4 groups. Organizational factors consist of those that are decided, determined, or formed at the business level. Project management factors consist of those which have implications for project management and are decided, determined, or formed at project level. External factors consist of those that are formed, determined, or decided as a consequence of the environment in which the firm or project operates, and factors related to implementation of lean practices consist of the factors that are directly related to the implementation aspects of lean construction practices without prior perception of lean philosophy. The status of the identified factors were evaluated in the context of the Iranian construction industry. Regarding the organizational factors, the information obtained from the interviews revealed a low level of awareness about the advantages of lean construction implementation, especially amongst the managers, and this is expected to lead to a high resistance to change. Accordingly, training was identified to be of utmost importance to increase lean awareness. Nevertheless, funding lean construction training is usually rebuffed due to the manager's lack of awareness and financial problems. Construction firms tend to regard employees as abundant and expensive resources to keep the wages low, and this limits the devoutness of the employees in turn. Technology adoption was realized to be traditional and far from the lean approach because the companies would typically neglect to plan and strengthen their processes before adopting new technologies. The culture of teamwork was found to be weak amongst Iranian construction firms. At the time of the study, several Iranian construction companies were dealing with major financial problems, and this had made the investment in initiative methods such as lean construction a rare practice. Nevertheless, amongst the firms with better financial status, no tendency was found to invest in lean implementation due to the lack of awareness and knowledge. It was also made known during the interviews that most of the Iranian construction companies lack a documented organizational structure. Accordingly, no clear definition of roles and responsibilities would be found within the organizations. The interviews found the Iranian construction companies highly restrained in sharing their information, and communications were reported to be limited to contractual obligations. Furthermore, a small number of companies were realized to have a robust knowledge management system in place to preserve knowledge. In the supply market, the dominant local monopolies would control procurement by manipulating the supply market, which hinders the adoption of lean approaches such as just in time, as the firms tend to fill up their inventories upon finding prices stable. There was no account of relational contracting, and relationships between parties were found to be adversarial, defined on the basis of rigid traditional contractual terms. Stakeholders management was found a rare practice, and the firm's understanding of the quality management concepts was evaluated as being minimal. Scope and requirements management was reported to be almost neglected and was considered responsible for frequent change orders. And the implementation of risk management had been witnessed in large scale projects. A number of external factors were also stipulated to be influential by the interviewees. At the time of this study, Iran's economy was dealing with a severe recession as a result of the imposition of the US sanctions against the country, which caused a shortage in equipment and material supply in the construction industry. In addition, international sanctions would impact resource availability as it would prevent the import of construction machinery and equipment to undertake modern construction methods. The economic downturn of the country has led to various financial problems for construction firms, and such difficulties reduce the firm's tendency to invest in improvement initiatives such as lean construction practices. The construction supply market was also found to be under the control of local monopolists that manipulate the market price of strategic materials such as steel and cement. Furthermore, competitions were found to be the slightest and limited to price races only. Also, conflicting roles and interests of the supervisory bodies leads to vast systematic corruption within the industry. The responses indicated that the industry had implemented some of the available lean practices without having a proper perception of lean principles. The implementation, however, was considered to be highly intuitive and to a limited extent. For instance, benchmarking was found where the companies would check the new methods adopted by their competitors. Moreover, prefabrication was realized to be known for several years, despite being adopted in a non-lean way. The responses also showed that the level of innovation was extremely low. Through the interviews, it was found that management and leadership, human resources, and training are the most significant critical success factors of the lean construction implementation at the organizational level in Iran. This was perceived to be due to the root cause of little knowledge of lean philosophy and awareness of the benefits of implementing its practices. At the project level, it was established that scope management, relationships between parties, and communications were the most crucial factors for lean construction implementation in Iran. The findings indicated the crucial role of top managers and project managers in the successful implementation of lean construction practices. Also, the majority of participants referred to the significant role that the governments and regulatory bodies could play in promoting lean implementation by providing incentives, supporting awareness, and maintaining stability. According to the information obtained from the interviews, it can be inferred that increasing knowledge and awareness about the benefits of lean construction is a crucial start point. Governments and regulatory bodies can help to speed up the process of lean construction implementation by providing incentives, supporting awareness, and maintaining stability. It was also found that in order to maintain a proper level of competitiveness, young companies can undertake innovative approaches. Therefore, they can potentially act as the pioneers of adopting lean construction in the country. Given the significance of financial aspects of such companies, emphasizing on the cost-saving capability of lean construction can serve as an important incentive to promote its implementation. Thank you for taking time to watch our presentation. We hope you have found this research interesting.